This is Marketing Heroes Unfiltered, the journey to CMO, the podcast where we interview high-achieving B2B marketers to know their stories, struggles, and insights in this fast-paced and competitive industry. Hosted by Leslie Carruthers and Danny Muscaplat, let's meet today's hero. Jeff L. Herrmann is a dynamic global leader in the world of marketing analytics, with a strong track record of driving innovation and growth. As an accomplished market research executive, Jeff has honed his analytical prowess and strategic vision to help businesses make data-driven decisions that fuel success. His unique blend of expertise in digital marketing analytics, consumer insights, and brand strategy has made him a trusted advisor to clients across diverse industries. Having earned his bachelor's degree from The Ohio State University and MBA from the University of Chicago's Booth School of Business, Jeff's educational background laid the foundation for his passion for understanding consumer trends and translating complex data into actionable insights. Throughout his career, Jeff has demonstrated an entrepreneurial spirit, constantly seeking opportunities to innovate and improve. This drive led him to successfully launch and scale multiple businesses, leveraging his extensive analytical skills and deep understanding of market dynamics to create sustainable growth. As a result, Jeff has earned a reputation as an insightful and effective business strategist. In addition to his impressive professional achievements, Jeff is a firm believer in giving back to the community. He is actively engaged in mentorship programs, sharing his knowledge and experience with the next generation of entrepreneurs and analytics professionals. Jeff is also a dedicated supporter of local nonprofit organizations, using his skills and resources to make a positive impact on his community. This is a podcast about heroes, which is why you're here.
Oh,
thanks for joining us today.
Flatter. All right. I'm getting it.
Yeah. I know you love living at the intersection of content, technology, and data. So we'll look for some great conversation today about all of that. First, though, would you tell us, how do you start your day?
That has recently changed. So get up at 5, definitely. But depending upon which child I have to get out of the house, it really switches up the day. But I used to be a consistent get up at 5, slam coffee, workout, and then get everyone else up and get going. But I've switched it because my older son has to get out the door by 5:15, 5:30 for workouts for swim and baseball. I get up, still slam coffee, but then I just get him out the door. I go straight to work because I have all the incoming from Singapore and London overnight, and my inbox is loaded. And my work day is actually shifted because of my global role. I pretty much work around the clock, and I love it. I enjoy it, but I get pockets of time which have created interesting opportunities. So I found that my noon to 2 now is kind of quiet because the UK folks have gone offline. Folks I work with in Asia are in bed. California is just spinning up. And all my New York colleagues, they've heard from me all morning. So I actually shifted my workouts to lunch-ish. Plus I intermittent fast. And so I jam a workout in, then I eat. And I find that the intensity I have kind of at that point in the day has created a lot better routine. I just get more energy going. Because I sit all morning, I'm in my basement office. I get cold. And so my excuse for working out is just warming up my energy flowing, my blood flowing. So it's along with an answer to say that I get up at 5 and drink coffee. I found in hindsight that the morning routine that I had was a little going through the motions. It was a little too static, I guess. And I like this kind of workout at lunch routine because it's a great way to just jumpstart the second half of my day.
Yeah, and it breaks it up into pieces, seems a little bit more doable. And then you've got your brain activity for the second half of the day. You don't peter out by 3, 4, 5 o'clock.
Exactly.
That's great. Yeah. Very cool. So one of the things I like to ask is, we talk to people on this podcast CMOs and VPs who have arrived, right? You're in this great position, you wield a little bit of power, you lead these great teams. But I'm always curious about the origin story. Where did it all start for you? How did you get to be the Jeff that we're talking to today?
It's interesting. That's a great question. And part of who I am today is the fact that I have not arrived and will never arrive because I'm always learning. I'm a lifelong learner, always incorporating new things. I live on ChatGPT and I signed up for Grok and I test barred. But it's interesting. Started my career in a large global research firm, Nielsen, and 15 years there. Brand name was so strong that I never had to really beg for a meeting. You always get in the door, right? Was presented at many places. You always got the meeting. Now, how the meeting went, that was really up to you. But I never really started my marketing journey until I left after 15 years as more of an intrapreneur. So I was always on the cutting edge of measurement technology, streaming, gaming, mobile. We were trying to measure those platforms, in the early part of the 2000s. Then I shifted to a digital agency. And the one person who was onboarding me the first day kept saying, lead gen, lead gen, lead gen. And I was like, what? Lead gen? She said, yes, lead generation. I said, oh, all right, I get it. But it was an SEO shop that evolved into full service, paid and organic social email, what have you. And I didn't get my chops until I had to go full scale lead to revenue management, B2B marketing, lead generation, funnel marketing, where at Nielsen working for a large brand, I was kind of a little, it was almost too easy. We had a lot of challenges and it was more about methodological rigor and designing systems, but you had a very well known and contained set of clients where the world was our client, essentially. You had to really pick a niche and go for it. But It was that pure entrepreneur role that really got me on the marketing journey. And I found a love for, MarTech and ad tech platforms and Salesforce. Just still to this day, I love using Salesforce. I just like fiddling and building models. But it's that now I'm back at an enterprise analytics firm in a global role, and it's still trying to act very as an intrapreneur and just really having a bias for action. But it's interesting how combining that brand marketing with the really tactical, clinical, ninja-like marketing has given me a great appreciation for all that's required as a marketer these days. You really have to have, a full mastery or a great team. One of those two.
Yeah, definitely. I love that you like tinkering around with Salesforce. If you're ever looking for a job, I could use somebody like you.
Hey. Building dashboards.
Yeah, exactly. Helping the sales team figure out, do they have leads? Are they going stale? It's a daily dilemma, right?
MQLs, SQLs.
All of it. Yeah.
Is it lead status or is it a contact? It's better to manage a contact record or a lead record. I could go all day.
All of it.
I have a blog about that, believe it or not, that I abandoned several years ago, but it still gets probably a couple thousand organic visits a month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What's it called, the blog?
It's Sales Quants, Quants. So
okay.
I spun it up in the 2012-ish, and I kept it running for about 5 years. And then, just in the spirit of focus, went more into content marketing, less from sales analytics and into more broader just content marketing and the importance of content, building relationships and driving revenue. And but that blog to this day, I still wonder if I should, just keep some activity posting against it.
Yeah. Sounds like it's still alive. That's great.
Plus you can use ChatGPT and Grok to help you. You want to get salty, you can focus on Grok if you want to keep it clean, right? Speaking of those, I saw you just posted about the survey that the AMA and Kantar did with 184 marketers to understand the role of AI in marketing. And shocker, right? Share a little bit about the results and your thoughts about them.
I tell you what, it's amazing how the ramp that we've all seen it. And so often, I remember when social selling hit in 2014, social selling took over LinkedIn and, a group of us were really actively involved. And then just, it's like almost hashtag, follow the hashtag, right? Social selling, content marketing, marketing analytics, nurture, you name it. But Gen AI has really taken off, taken hold, and it fundamentally does change things. And I use it simply for basic communication. So we're not really permitted nor do I want to at this moment upload data or run analysis, right? But it's more or less, I use it a lot for LinkedIn. I'll admit, if I take a trip, I'll say, write a LinkedIn post about going to London and having
Yeah.
I wrote something. I was in Atlanta about the history of CNN or something, and I use ChatGPT. And I'll if anyone asks, I'll say, sure, I did. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm really experimenting with it. But AI it's fun. It's a fundamental shift, and I don't have the data at my disposal. The report we posted, I can't recall it off the top of my head, but it's something that it's a big augmentation tool, I believe. So the way I see it now, you still need, it's all about prompt engineering, and you can ask the right prompt and tease out the right question. There's so many sanity checks you have to apply to the responses you get. But I see it as a great way to kind of backfill kind of a lot of more of the low level, more tedious work at the moment.
Big number. 64% of marketers don't understand AI at all, or only know a few things about it. Right? That was the post.
Yeah, that's the headline, right?
Yeah. Love it.
But it's if I say her name, but I have my voice service from Amazon right there. I have my other friend right here, Siri, and so it's all around us right now at the moment. It's just that I think what Meta's doing around building, these co-pilots, these navigators, right? Microsoft is investing a lot in building, co-pilots. It really just becomes more an augmentation tool. And it definitely will take away a lot of low, what I'll call basic business analysis or fundamental analysis. I saw a tool, we were querying, research data sets where we did have a proper tool to load research data sets or testing creative, right? So you can build normative databases. You have the volumes of information and you just can, test and learn on a rather rapid basis. But really the fact that we're using it today and it's all around us today, now it's just kind of open to the public, so to speak.
Absolutely. And are you finding that customers and users, purchasers are interested in it as a bullet point? As marketers, we want to use it to augment, like you say, and generate content. Do you find that the people that you're selling to, working with, questioning out in the market are like, I want to work with businesses who are using AI, selling products that incorporate AI? Is there a demand there on that side, do you think?
Well, there's a perception demand. So at Kantar, we have several AI-based tools, specifically in forecasting and creative testing. And the fact that we made investments in AI several years ago is now played in our favor because it just suddenly, it's on a upward trajectory, and we can say, oh, we're good to go. We don't have to race to catch up, right? So perception-wise, the reality is they're very great solutions because it's fast information, highly scalable, and highly reliable because it's trained on the data sets that we have. Saying that you're in it, just like the internet in 99, 2000, right? Oh, we have a website, just that was good enough back then. There was no business model, display ads, terrible. I mean, just the fact that you were involved was kind of good enough, but that clearly is not the case. I mean, it's really how I'm just curious how companies will really leverage AI, simply because you have proprietary data sets and you don't want to train public language models, or you want to really just maintain your IP. And so that's just an interesting thing I'm watching unfold is how do you leverage the tools, but still retain your IP and not end up training the world on what your solution is and making yourself obsolete.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, private GPTs are definitely going to be the thing. I'm most excited about the things we can get to now that we can leverage the GPTs to do so that we can get to the things that were on the back burner, those important but not urgent, those bigger picture projects that are really going to make a difference. Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing about that. I know it wasn't on the questions list, but you just put it out there 2 days ago. I had to ask.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I have to claim that also was automated. So
Great. That's great. Right.
I love that you go
Yeah.
on vacations and write into GPT.
Yeah.
Did I have a good time? If so, please
No,
explain it.
totally.
And
Totally.
go first.
Yeah. 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 I got it.
Post
No,
some pictures that I may or may not have taken.
yeah, exactly.
Great.
yeah. No, I went to Portland earlier this year and I took a picture of myself and my shadow looked like Sasquatch. GPT helped me. And 3 or 4 versions later, I had a pretty interesting post.
Nice.
It
There you go.
related it back to business. I mean, it was really extraordinary.
That's exact. I mean, it just saves a lot of time, and you
Yeah.
had to. It, you know, you're
I had to get 3 or 4 versions and piece together the best parts of it. Right. But yeah.
that's a great hack, and I think that's really where now that you reminded me that that's where AI. You're a ChatGPT and GTP. I'm on 4, so that's where it excels. If you combine, I have a work experience and a personal experience, combine those two and write about it. You could, but it's much more interesting if you actually put that to the test. So I would say if I'm a marketer, I'd be looking for those unique combinations that you could make or use it for inspiration, if anything, right?
Mhm.
So that's a big part is definitely like throw in those two unique circumstances, see where the links or the connections are made, and then say, then hit upon an idea and then take it from there.
Brainstorming. Yes, totally. Okay. So is there a big, hairy problem, Jeff, that you've had to deal with lately that you've been either successful with or have had some new insights about that you could share that might help other marketers, either in your shoes or on their way to the VP marketing CMO level?
I'd like to say that I'm overly optimistic, so I don't view things as problems. I view them as
Okay.
opportunities.
Hmm.
There are challenges, and I think just a challenge, and I'll put my commercial hat on, is just continuing to be highly hyper relevant, right? So as marketers, we just can't lob something over the fence and hope to get engagement, right? It has to be so hyper relevant, and the personalization tools are out there. And so it's literally how do you assemble the right tech stack so you can be hyper relevant and highly personalized to drive engagement, because just the volume, the noise out there and the clutter is insane. And so it's taking the time to have, and I'll quote people we know, right? Joe Polizzi, I quote all the time, content marketing mission statement. Who's to target, what's delivered, and what's the outcome for the audience? And as many tools as you have, the great thing about that mission statement is you can choose what to ignore. And so that's the other, age-old wisdom. Knowing what not to do is so much better. You could have all the fancy tools, but I find like filtering, and so like this is Kantar's new, we call it the Spark framework. We shape the brands of tomorrow, and we have a what and a best at, and then we understand people everywhere. And when I'm doing team meetings and we focus on, well, is this program we're developing, or say we're pitching a new brief, does it fit? Like, can we excel at this brief? And if it's outside of this mission, it's a great test, and we can just say, doesn't fit the mission, and it probably might be a larger drain on resources than not. Let's exit it, right? So let's not. So I know that sounds kind of like vague information, like focus on strategy.
No, I hear you saying know what to say no to.
Yeah, just say no. I mean, say yes a lot, test everything, but then learn and then say no.
I like it. It's a good one. You are a very positive guy. You look at things as opportunities, not problems. But there's got to be something that keeps you up at night. What keeps you up at night?
I'll put my Gen X hat on. So as a Gen Xer, and I've had what point in time into my career, it is this notion of the advice I just gave to marketers: be hyper relevant, highly personalized. The world we live in today, and I'm every CMO out there, right? Every VP of marketing, you're never quite sure, am I safe, right? And it's like, what do you do to really build a strong foundation and just make sure that you're driving against your goals and that you're fulfilling your goals? And it becomes like, don't have your principles and stick to them, but at the same point, don't be afraid to reinvent yourself. And so that's really what keeps me up at night, is how do I continue to invest in or just innovate, right? It's just bias for action, innovate, get after it, and work hard to make things happen. And then also, definitely, this is a part, as much as I get excited, I love work, right? I'm a business, I can go off the whole thing. Like I'm a business dad, not a sports dad. So I have a whole kind of riff going that direction. I won't go there at the moment. But as a business dad, right? I love work. I love what I do. I love my 10 o'clock calls with Singapore because it's super cool to talk to people across the world. The Wally just, I have a lot of colleagues that I speak to on a regular basis in India. They get to share their customs and traditions because the Wally's happening at the moment, right? So how do you make sure that something I struggle with, to go back to your other question, is making sure that I'm trying to run it like a 10 out of 10 all the time, but then there are team members that may have a great, well-managed portfolio of their life. My life portfolio is not well managed. It's like, I love work, I have a family, that's it. And so that does keep me up, where I've been told and I've been reminded over time, like, hey, turn it down a little bit, like back off a little bit. Not everyone has the same enthusiasm that you might. So learn to appreciate and respect their contribution and how important their contribution is, but don't demand or don't expect or demand that they're going to be like willing to kill it like you believe they should. I don't have a great answer. I ask you guys, what do you think? Like it's kind of a bunch of things mixed up together, but that's what I struggle.
I like that. I think that resonates too, because I think as a leader, it's okay to be a workaholic. When I had a boss 2 years ago, and he kept telling me to, manage my work-life balance, but he also appreciated the work that I was doing. And I kept saying, the more you appreciate the work that we're doing, the more I want to do that work. Mm-hmm. And he cautioned me. He said, right, but you're trying to get your team to manage their work balance, but you're not leading by example. So you're putting all the hours because you want to, and they think the expectations that they will too. And so it's this, but I wanted to. I loved the work. I wanted to impress my boss and work hard for him. He was a great guy. He was working hard for us. And then my team was like, you tell us to manage our balance, but you're emailing us on the weekends as well. So I had to put a veneer of backing off. And so I left them alone nights and weekends. I did the work, but put it in draft form. But I think that is an interesting, I can empathize with where you're coming from.
Yeah. And I feel like everyone I work with, if you're in research and marketing analytics, it's a little bit of a unique interest, right? So everyone kind of geeks out on the work a little bit, right? Just personally. So that helps a lot, right? That everyone is like engaged because they feel, but it's true. And I think that it's funny, the veneer of balance or just set expectations. And look, I get emails in the middle of the night, and not that I am like up at 2, but if I go to bed at 11 and I see something, I'll like flip it like, hey, I got an answer off the door, so someone in Japan can do something and move forward. But I don't know. That it's hard.
Different when it's global. That makes sense because you're getting somebody set up. You're getting your team what they need.
Yeah.
Maybe something we do at my company is we focus on and we document every quarter every individual's strengths. So we value the strengths that they bring to the table, and we acknowledge the weaknesses. So like, I don't want to make somebody work in the area of their weakness. They might even be good at something that they don't enjoy, right? There are things I can do, but it's like a sharp stick in the eye. Please don't make me do them, right? So maybe if that helps, I think, as a layer, just a thought.
That's a great point. Celebrate. And you hear many.
Then that person's known for that. They don't have to be known as the workaholic. They're known for the thing.
Right.
Being known for.
It's awesome, right? You hear, oh, hey, team, take a minute to step back and celebrate.
Celebrate is, it's good.
I've been on those video calls where, okay, this is the call we're supposed to celebrate. They get real awkward real fast. And you're like,
yeah,
what is that picture behind you? Or just, just awkward. So here's another kind of process rhythm reporting. So what I try to do on a weekly basis. So in our internal collaboration tool, it's Yammer, which is now Viva Engage. We used to use Workplace, but it's a like Slack, right? So it's literally just I think like a publisher, and I publish on every Friday morning. I have an appointment notification, calendar setting, Friday, 8 a.m., write your weekly summary. And I tag everyone up, like new deals, new wins, new developments, just great news, right? So really it's like the good news post. And I make sure I tag everyone up, and I tag all the entire leadership team too. And I even put it on the alert notification, so I make sure they see it. So, and then in our group CEO, oftentimes he sees it. And he gives people like, "Hey, good job," the little thumbs up. And then the team sees that and it's, wow, they're seeing, we're being seen, like we're being recognized, and
Awesome.
and that's just little things. But I think it's that, listen to your perspective, yeah. Get known for the thing and the work you did, and who cares what time you did it? That really doesn't matter. So
Yeah, that's great.
That feels like a good segue to a burning topic. Do you want to say something about business dad and sports dad? Or is there some other burning topic you'd like to share about?
So I was on a podcast about mentorship, and I'm notoriously a bad one because I just can never. So it's no, I shouldn't say that. I'm thrilled to help, but in a non-structured way. So once again, this is our monthly mentorship meeting. It's hard to prepare, hard to keep, you know what I mean? It just feels too forced. But if you just want to like jump on and like, hey, boom, I just put 30 minutes on your calendar for 2 days. We're going to jump on and dig into something. Like, awesome, let's do it. But so my wife and kids are athletes, and I never was. I pretty much was, just grew up a regular kid. I worked a lot, at my dad's warehouse growing up. So I wasn't really athletic, didn't do many sports, the minimal amount, I guess, growing up. So my son loves baseball. He wants to play in college. He's on his, we've really are in the process of like getting line of sight on that at the moment. But I can't throw a baseball to save my life. I mean, I can throw a baseball, but I'm horrible, right? And I can't hit. I don't have any advice on like, well, you swing through or no. So I've often said, well, I'm, but they definitely know that if they ever are, my younger one is putting a group together around politics and economics. I'm like, okay, I'll be your advisor. He's in ninth grade, right? Let's get it going. Let's draft your charter. Let's set your collaboration plan. Let's elect your, so to speak.
Your board, get your coaches.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And I feel like I often fail at like, oh, how do you make the shot? How do you throw? How do you hit? There's, look at Instagram.
Right. We have people for that.
And I've told my wife, it's like, no, listen, but when I'm older, he'll appreciate me.
Yeah.
But you have way less time with them, right? So then that's kind of the realization. I thought, oh, okay, well, when they're in their 20s and 30s, they'll be calling me for advice, or I'll be maybe in the back office if they have a company. By that time, I'll never say retire, but just, I'll go into sales at one of their companies if I could. I think, because I hope to work forever, right? But when they're, in their 20s and 30s, you just have less time with them, less surface area. So when I think I'll be the biggest contribution, I may not be, or maybe it will be smaller doses, but bigger impact. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a struggle I've had as someone who loves work and loves what I do, and definitely want to support the family. And, I always say, oh, look, my job is financial security and all the things you want to do. I'm doing this for our security, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, so what? So I don't think I'll have regrets because I've done okay balancing all this stuff, but that's something.
Jeff, for what it's worth, my dad was not a sports dad, so I was not a sports kid. But when I started working in corporate America, I started working for Target.com in 2005, 2006. I was calling my dad every day on the way home from work, saying, what is this meeting that I just had? What does it mean? What's going on behind the scenes? How do I plan my career? What do I do next? And he always had an answer. And older I got, when I got married, started having kids, that time did get narrower, but it did get much, much deeper, because now we're both people bonding over business and we don't play catch. That's what we do instead. So I think that you are absolutely there's going to be a huge payoff there for you. I can see it.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about it. So.
It's going to be great. Unless your son does become a professional baseball player, and then I don't know what the heck you guys are going to talk about. It's going to be rough, man.
Well, I'll be, I want to day trade. So at some point,
Yeah.
hopefully
There
I
you
can manage a portfolio for him or something.
There you go.
Are
Yeah.
you
As a
hoping?
car dealership, I'll be like, hey, I'm your guy.
Right. Are you hoping
Love
for
it.
Ohio State?
What's that? No. Too big. I loved Ohio State. It was fantastic.
Yep.
We're going kind of a more of the pure academic route, I guess, is the
Okay.
intersection of academics and sports.
Good deal.
And Ohio State, I couldn't get in there today, to be honest. Like I got in there because I was a resident, so I mailed the check and they cashed it.
Mhm.
But Ohio State, I think their standards have, dramatically risen. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll leave it at that.
I hear you. We'll leave it at that.
You have a question on here towards the end somewhere about like what was your worst subject in school or something like that. So maybe we'll circle back.
Mhm. Yeah. Managing up, down, sideways, globally. Yeah. What have you learned? What can you share to help others?
No surprises, and the information balance. And I'll get back to the kind of the celebration when you've made a major breakthrough, when you have word of something big that's about to happen. It's like, do you start to say we won at the hint of the win or at the verbal confirmation, or do you wait till you have the ink? And so I think how to properly manage the communication thread and it's a really perfect balance, and then it's dynamic, right? So sometimes you want to like pop the quick, especially in a global role, if your people you work with are in different time zones, you just want to keep some degree of contact with them, right? Unless it's scheduled, you don't really ever see them, right? Unless it's scheduled, and those are, sometimes could go weeks at a time. And this gets back to this whole process or the rigor around publishing on a weekly basis. If you set up a cadence and publish on a weekly basis, and so the team members know something's coming at a certain time and they know to expect that. We're all creatures of habit. We set a behavioral expectation. I mean, I have a quick story about a SDR, an inside sales rep that used to call me every Friday at 5. And he called me every Friday at 5 to sell a piece of software, MarTech software. And he did it for 6 months at least 6 months. Every Friday, 5 o'clock.
Wow.
Boom. And I'm not sure why. And I think he was on a different time zone. But it just so happened, his dialer, boom, popped me up every Friday at 5. So for several months, Fridays at 5, I'd get this call and I'd pick up and I'd say, hey, and I always, having done the prospecting role, I have appreciation, respect, and sometimes I'd like to listen to the pitch just to, sometimes I'll go into dad mode and critique them a little bit like, hey, you really didn't, your hook wasn't that strong. Like I could have hung up on you. But he called me every Friday at 5 and we just got, sorry, hey, not interested. You just get to know somebody. Then one day he stopped cold. One Friday, the next Friday, like 3-4 Fridays in, like, where's my Friday at 5 call? Because I that kind of set me off like, okay, it's Friday at 5. He called. Weekend's going to start. Time to wrap it up. Time to head home, yada, yada, yada. And so finally, like 2 months later, I saw on LinkedIn he got a new job. And I actually messaged him. I said, listen, what are we going to do? Like, I'm expecting a call. Like, can you put me on your list again or something? Because
oh my gosh,
I just got to be such a creature of habit and knew, that was like a big marker of time, like a time progression. Oh, it's Friday at 5, time to shift into weekend mode. So, and we to this day, I still see him on LinkedIn and just keep in touch with them. But yeah,
awesome.
that idea of literally just setting that behavioral expectation around communication and then fulfilling that expectation around consistent communication. Because it does a lot in helping you to kind of be present, virtually present when you're not like physically there, so to speak.
That's great.
Oh, boy. Thanks.
Talked about this a little bit, but generally speaking, and I'm mostly curious about this one from the point of view of hiring and what you're looking for. But I'm going to ask the question a little bit more broadly. What's your advice to the next generation of marketers?
Advice to the next generation of marketers is get certified. I mean, pick a platform, Google, Meta, you name any analytics platform, Salesforce. Try to seek. College is fine, but if you're the next gen of marketers coming out of school, jump in and get an analytics certification or even an Excel certification or something that you can use as an accomplishment. I took the extra step, so not school, because that you have to take the class to get the credit to graduate. But I took the extra step to get certified, and I become, I'm trying to develop mastery in this platform, so to speak, and find a platform that's, trending up, and find a platform that probably isn't as, you just can't walk up and use it, right? So like a Salesforce or, I've lost track of Google Analytics, but I think that's evolved quite a bit. But try to find a degree of certification and just don't be afraid to go deep in one area and use that as like a little foundation to build. And like, you don't have to stay there forever, but at least if you're known for that thing that you do, that's a great way to at least start an engagement and then round out your experience and then, do a full development. But I would always like pick a tool set you're interested in or topic and just go deep and become that expert and then merchandise your expertise around that topic. And then, then once you're in the door, then obviously you can expand from there. But that's really, don't generalize, specialize.
Great.
Nice.
Okay, now let's hit him with speed round.
Okay, so this one we don't preload. We want you to just think off the cuff. Super easy questions. Don't stress. Don't sweat about it. Jeff, if your career is a movie, who plays you?
This is going to sound terrible.
No.
But it's Ryan Reynolds. So
there you go. I totally see it. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people say like, you look like Ryan Reynolds. I'm like, I wish. So
No.
I can see it.
I was at Cannes in France and he was there and I'm a little heavier than he is, right? I'm a little stockier. I'm more Midwestern than Ryan Reynolds is. But people did wait, is that? No, that's not him.
Nice. Well, I can totally see it.
Oh, and then Judd Bushler of the Chicago Bulls in like the early 90s. I was like a dead ringer for Judd Bushler, I guess, too. I don't know if you remember that.
I'll have to look that one up.
Okay, nice. All right, favorite KPI is going to be a tough one for you, maybe.
Whoa, favorite KPI. I have to admit, I'm very much a top line person. I just love looking at the variances, right? So it's growth, right? So any growth KPI, and oftentimes it's revenue. And it's funny, I have colleagues that focus on cost and profit, but I'm fascinated by the big number.
First job, worst job?
First job, drove a Wise potato chip truck. So I was a delivery guy, right? I literally delivered potato chips into the back room of grocery stores. I was doing that from before I could drive because my father was a snack food distributor. And so that was my first job. And I had that job for probably 10 years, all through college, in the summers and everything. So I just learned a lot on the truck, as they say, in the back room. And that's how I gained my affinity for CPG and grocery. And that worst job, I was in between, just after graduating college, I sold radio at WCOL AM in Columbus for a minute. We had Yellow Pages at the time. Like literally I drove around Columbus with a big Yellow Pages book. And it just wasn't, I don't know, it just didn't jive with me. So I stopped and I knew a friend that was selling satellites to rural central Ohio. Satellite dishes. I'm not kidding, right? So like the smaller, not the big ones, but it was just when they were moving from the big giant ones, like the 8-foot span to like the 2.5-foot span. And it was kind of like early, for those that couldn't get cable TV coverage, way out central Ohio, east or west. Yep. I had to drive, and for about a couple of weeks, I did door-to-door satellite dish sales. And I was terrible because net, the guy said, you're too corporate, you're too formal, you're just not cut out to kind of like go lean on the truck and say, hey,
you're not farm. You got to be farm stock, right?
Yeah. And he just said, no, this job is not for you. And I was like, yeah, I kind of agree. And that even part of the problem why I quit radio is kind of the same, where I would, suit and tie, briefcase in hand, cold call a retailer, right, a furniture store, walk into the front door, they'd see me coming a mile away, and the manager would run and hide in the back room. Oh, he's not available. He's, no. Loosen the tie, roll up your sleeves, leave the briefcase in the car, saunter in, look around, be casual. And so,
nice. Sneak attack.
Yeah, those post jobs were like post college were post jobs.
Nice. Jeff, I'm from cow country in Ohio. I could have totally nailed that satellite sales job.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
So, what's your favorite productivity hack?
Productivity hack. I think my entire life is a productivity hack. Like, I'm always looking for ways to shortcut things. I mean, currently it is honestly ChatGPT. So I'll do a lot more social media activity and posting. Even on Twitter, I've reinvested time in Twitter X because, believe it or not, that's the primary recruiting platform for college baseball. So for a platform I did not use at all, I'm all over it. And I live on it simply because, like, I have a vested interest in seeing what's going out there in the world of recruiting. And so I'll even write, posts around, because look, it's all about sales. And I tell, any person that's in, high school, moving to college, or college into their career, it's about sales, and it's about presenting yourself, and it's about finding relevant hooks, and it's about, not to quote the Challenger sale, but teach, tailor, take control. So how can you get out there and be a teacher, an educator, deliver value to get value back, and not just like take and say, I need time, I need this, I need that. So I try to do a lot in that world of like bringing my sales experience with kind of younger people as they try to go through the stages of their development. And it's, I rely on ChatGPT for that. Like I said, write a post about the importance of relationships and draw the comparison between business and school, and that.
Awesome.
So,
what's the last book you read?
So I am a big listener. Does that count? Audiobooks?
Yeah, that counts. Absolutely.
Audible for sure.
Yeah. I try to read, but my visual retention is terrible. My audio retention is great. I mean, if I hear something, I'll remember it. If I read something, it takes me highlights and pens and lots of scribing to make it. But the last book I read, I listen to so many podcasts that are industry specific. It's been a year at least. And I think it was, I tried Cameron Hanes. He's like the ultra marathoner / bow hunter / Joe Rogan guy. I tried that. A little boring.
What podcast have you been listening to?
I really enjoy the All In podcast. It's Zach Chamath, Polly Hapatia, Jason Calacanis, the world's greatest moderator. Because it's that intersection of economics, technology, business, politics, sometimes too much. But I like getting the the VC perspective on where they see the world's going and where the markets are going. Things like that.
Yeah.
And then the Economist podcast every day, just because that's kind of more like my daily read on the world, because I do have to be up on what's happening globally, and I enjoy it just because it gives me a perspective. Not a lot of times, so easy to be in a bubble, and so to make sure you break it and get outside and get a lot of different perspectives is important. And I listen to podcasts that I don't agree with the views of the hosts, but I want to hear what they're saying and understand why they think that way. And so I encourage people to try those too. And even if you have to come it's still important to do that.
I follow a geopolitical consultant, Ian Bremmer. He's written a couple of books. And one of his first tweets when he got on Twitter back in the day was, if you're not following people that you absolutely disagree with, you're 100% doing Twitter wrong.
Yeah. Right.
Not a new or unique thought, but for him to say that, and he's, the guy was a child genius, and he's written all these books, and he's a multi-billionaire, and he's like, I follow people that I think are absolutely bananas. I'm like, okay, well, if he can do it, I probably should too.
Yeah, sure. Good point.
Who's the most fascinating contact on your phone?
Do you mean literally, like, who could I dial that I would not believe? Like, why do I have this number?
However you want to define it.
I have a couple Nobel laureates. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, believe it or not, I went to the Chicago GSB for business school. And my great friend throughout our time at the school was also married to a faculty member. And we would go to, they had a really nice holiday party every year. And there were literally a room full of economics laureates and really influential people, from Chicago on the global stage. But someone who I do love, and I pinged him on Twitter recently and he hit me back, is Austin Goolsbee. He's currently president of the Chicago Fed, but he was a professor at the GSB, and I had him for a telecom class in 2002 or something like that. And it was markets and structures and strategies of regulatory industries, right? That was the class. And he's a comedian, right? I think he literally has done time in improv or something like that. But he's somebody that I could probably bring up in a minute and say, hey, remember because I would always give him data, right? Nielsen data, because that was my currency. Like, hey, I work at Nielsen, we have a lot of data, and they love data, right? So I know that's kind of a nerdy question. It's not like a cool thing, but to have
pretty cool.
President of the Chicago Fed, that's not bad.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
We're impressed.
Okay, if you could wake up tomorrow having gained one quality or ability, what would it be?
I would just say better memory. I definitely have selective memory. Like some things I'll remember and other things I'm just blow right by me. So if I could have a quality, it's being a better listener. And I think maybe my memory is a function of my listening skills, not my horsepower stairs.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I definitely sometimes I'm not a great listener.
Yeah, good one.
Is there something you've dreamed of doing for a long time that haven't done it? And why haven't you?
I play the drums. So my new favorite video, I see it on, YouTube, it's on TikTok too, but it's Chad, the drummer from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. What's his name? Chad.
Yes. Yeah. I forget his last name. He's incredible.
He plays the track. They play him a track with no drum line. And then he has to kind of like vibe out the music. And
Chad Smith.
Chad Smith. Right. And I've always wanted to play the drums, but I never did. And I am rhythmically oriented, right? So I like rhythm. I like music with a strong bass and a driving rhythm. And so if I could pick up an ability, I'll answer the last question. I would like to be love to be a rock drummer and have like a full kit.
Yeah, be amazing.
There's just the energy, the momentum, the fact that you get to drive, the whole band. So yeah, drummer.
You got the basement
life hack for you. I never took music lessons as a kid, but I love instruments and I keep teaching myself how to play. And good enough. I bought a little keyboard. I could play the piano. I bought a violin, taught myself that, ukulele. I bought myself an electronic drum kit. It's like $300.
Yeah.
And then watched a bunch of YouTube videos, learned how to play enough. I'm like, okay, I know how to play the drums enough. So it's never too late. Cheap little kit. You put on your headphones. You'll be Chad Smith before you know it.
Yeah. That'll be my gift, my holiday gift to myself, my Christmas gift.
There you go. Let us know if it happens, and then send us some files of you banging away. Yeah.
Awesome. Nice. What's the best compliment you've ever gotten?
Bias for action.
All right, Jeff, can you describe yourself in 5 words?
Always learning, never satisfied. That's 4.
I like it. We'll take 4, and then you get 25% back. 20% back.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. That was fantastic. Really appreciate it.
I think we had a good riff going, so
It was awesome.
All right.
Thanks so much. Have a great one.
Thank you for staying tuned. If you're enjoying these conversations, we would appreciate it if you subscribed and give us a 5-star rating. It helps us increase the podcast's reach. Thank you. See you next week with more inspiring stories. This episode of Marketing Heroes is brought to you by The Search Guru, produced by Circle Audio, and podcast cover by Andra Lazord.